Hey everybody, Tim and Ryan here with C3 Technology Advisors. Just like many of you, we've been anticipating the announcement of Azure Communications Services and the announcement that they came out with yesterday. As we all know, the public preview is now available. So Ryan and I thought that we'd take a look at the video or the announcement that came out yesterday and provide some feedback. So Ryan, let's dive into it.
Yeah, Tim, we have been waiting for Azure Communication Services to come out in public preview right now. And what we're going to do is change it up a bit and watch and really do a reaction video based on the Microsoft Mechanics YouTube video channel. There's a lot of great information out there, but let's dive in and start up the Microsoft Mechanics video.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Microsoft Mechanics. Coming up on the show, we catch up with CVP Scott Van Fleet, responsible for Azure Communication Services, a brand new platform that leverages the same enterprise-grade services behind Microsoft Teams through Azure to deliver video, voice, and chat experiences and much more anywhere your users are across your apps, websites, and mobile platforms. So Scott, welcome to the show.
Jeremy, thanks for having me.
So congrats today on your announcement of public preview of Azure Communication Services, as I mentioned, but what's the significance now of delivering these capabilities as part of Azure Communication Services?
Yeah, we're really excited. This opens up a whole realm of opportunities. Imagine taking the same chat, voice, and video experiences and capabilities of Microsoft Teams and making them available to any digital experience you want to build tailored to your specific scenarios. You can now integrate the proven communications capabilities of Microsoft Teams across your apps, websites, mobile and IoT platforms via Azure Communication Services. And it has the same secure, compliant, enterprise-scale foundation of Microsoft Teams, which itself is built on Azure, the world's computer, and has over 75 million daily active users.
So Tim, this makes me think of, for everything that we know of in technology, the one thing that remains constant is change. It's something that we hear all the time about. The one thing you can count on is change. With the rapid rate of adoption of Microsoft Teams, it's a daily conversation that you're having with your clients about what communication platform do we use. So many people are asking about Teams. What is your thoughts about what we know about Teams, but taken to the scale of building it into Azure and integrating all those different data points, whether it's built into applications, built into different omni-channel experiences? How do you think this could change the game?
I think it changes it drastically because we just did a Microsoft Teams webinar video not too long ago, and Joe from our team and we've actually done a couple of videos on Microsoft Teams. So the funny thing is, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, hell, even 4 months ago, we talked about certain things that Microsoft Teams from a voice perspective was lacking. Global capabilities, the ability to text, and I think it's going to dive a little bit more into this later in the video. But it's insane the amount of change that has occurred from 4, 8, 10 months ago. So yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep going.
Can you give us an example of what types of scenarios where this would really light up with?
Yeah, sure. This is built for the enterprise. You can now build secure connected experiences on your website that incorporate a variety of communications modalities. Think of a telemedicine experience where you can shift from a bot assistant to a live video call from a doctor. Now, the added benefit is that these experiences can be architected to use encryption to meet specific regulatory requirements like HIPAA to preserve patient privacy. Also, you can enrich those applications and those experiences further with intelligence, like real-time translation by tapping into other Azure services.
So all this then makes rich communication capabilities accessible really wherever your users might be engaging, and you don't need to be a networking or voice engineering expert to use it.
That's right.
Yeah, this kind of blows my mind from my own personal experience recently. The healthcare one takes kind of front stage. So I was out in the yard working and I got poison oak. That's the punchline of the whole story. But to get there, I literally did start off in one portal, got connected to a different one, chatted the message, had to wait in this one for some sort of a reaction. It just wasn't a unified experience. And then if I wanted to actually video chat with somebody, it was a totally different portal. It was a different system. So not only from just trying to quickly get to a doctor and have them say, what is this rash on my ankle? Is it something serious, or do I just need some calamine lotion? I was in my provider's portal, in their third-party portal for an online visit, which was not video. And then if I did need a video, it would have been a third portal. But then it makes me think of where my information is stored across all these different locations. If it's in one spot, if it's in Azure, we've got these compliance requirements. It just feels like this is going to be a game changer in the sense that we can really start to consolidate multiple platforms into one. Any thoughts on that from your side?
Yeah, I'm glad you actually touched on the security point of view of that. The other point I wanted to make too is, there are some technology solutions that our customers have adopted outside of what we're seeing here. So for me, I do find it fascinating that Microsoft worked as quickly as they did to come up to speed from some of the other providers that are in our portfolio. So one of the things that you had mentioned before was integrations. This whole thing just screams APIs and all of that. So again, just very, very curious to see what this looks like 3 months from now or 6 months from now.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they're going to get into a great another use case here. This will be a good one to watch through. I think all of us can probably relate to this one in some sort of way. So let's keep going here.
All of this can now be achieved by adding just a few lines of code and using your favorite developer tools. In fact, we've just gone live with the public preview of our software development kit today.
So there's a pretty broad application then, and it's accessible, but can you break down the core communication services that are part of this platform?
So there are 5 main communication services exposed via a selection of APIs and SDKs that allow you to hook into the capabilities. These include voice and video calling over IP, where you can do one-on-one calling or meet with groups of up to 50 people and do things like content sharing. Next is chat, whether that's one-on-one or with a group of users. You can keep their chat history, use informal communications with emojis, and even share files. You can also integrate with text messaging, sending via SMS. And you can actually place real telephone calls in your apps using a connection to the public switch telephone network, or PSTN, using normal phone numbers for inbound and outbound calls. And we've added network communication services for video with WebRTC that allows for capabilities that take a standards-based approach to removing the complexity of running a global edge-based deployment. Now, you don't need to worry about any of the complexity of network traversal and traffic, between you and your customers. Once your solution connects to Azure, anywhere in the world, we'll take care of that connectivity for you with one of the fastest real-time communication networks in the world. You can also enable authenticated experiences using Azure Active Directory or other common identity services. And of course, bring your Azure Communications Services product to any app, browser, PC, and mobile platform, as well as IoT devices on the edge.
Okay, so it's pretty modular, and you can kind of pick the communication services you want to use, architect those within your new or existing apps and services, and only pay for what you use. But this is mechanics, so why don't we make this real for everyone?
Now, I'm going to show you an Azure Communication Services enriched website experience and show you how I built it. Now, let's imagine a scenario here. I'll be the consumer and you be the customer service technician. Now, I'm having an issue with my refrigerator. The ice cubes are not coming out, and I know it's going to be hard to get someone out to my house right now during everything that's going on. So here, I'm on the Contoso Appliance website, and I can see that there is a virtual assistant bot, which you see a lot on websites to help answer common questions. But what's different is, once I select, can I help you? I have a way to connect directly with a representative using their appointment service that I can take on my phone. Now, I'll type in my phone number. In the background, it will check the availability of a technician and send me a confirmation message over SMS with a link that I can tap on at the start of my appointment. So now let's switch over to my phone. So when I see a link, I don't have to download an app or authenticate. By tapping on that link, it will take me directly to the mobile web experience where I can join the call. So Jeremy, why don't you play the part of the technician and show us your view within the customer services app?
Looks like the call started and I can see you just fine. But so let's investigate then and take a look at what's going on with your fridge.
I'm gonna pause here, Tim, because this whole rich experience, in my mind, I'm thinking the customer, or Contoso in this example, not the customer, but the company Contoso has all this rich customer information, probably has the phone number, probably has the means in which to quickly identify the customer and look up what product they bought, what service they are, all within the information they already have. So just by the customer, in this example, going out to their website and typing in their phone number, it could just be like this direct path right into saying, oh, John Doe, you bought this refrigerator from us, you warranted it. Here's all this information to help solve the problem, help get down to the root of it instead of getting transferred back and forth and all this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so let's take the technology piece out of this. As I'm watching this, I think about, wow, like think about the customer experience. If that was me, I would greatly appreciate the fact that somebody's calling me. I'm able to have a video conversation. I'm probably going to keep going back to that organization because I know that they left me with a good experience.
Yeah.
Now, the only devil's advocate part of me is, okay, again, the technology piece is cool. One thing I would actually like to would have liked to know is how long it took for that call to actually be connected. Because as we all know, you have to wait for that agent to call you back. That's the only devil's advocate piece I want to throw in there.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's keep watching and.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. I really appreciate the help. I'm trying to get some ice on these hot days, and it's just not coming out. So I'm going to walk over here to my fridge, and when I get here, I'm just going to flip the camera. And here's the ice maker, or at least the dispenser on the front. And when I push the ice button, push the lever, nothing's coming out.
All right. So what I want you to do then is open the refrigerator, the freezer side of the refrigerator.
You got it.
And we're going to take a look at the ice maker.
All right. So here's the ice service machine. I'm going to open up the flap and check it out. There's no ice.
Okay, so I think I know what the issue is, but since this is mechanics, we'll explain what's going on. So there's a flap, or usually an armature, that kind of says whether or not the ice tray is full, and it looks like it's stuck in the full position by a little man that's hanging upside down.
Huh? What are you talking about? Let me take a what the? Oh man, it looks like my kids must have been playing in the icebox again.
I think we've all been there before. Something really simple that's just like, why didn't I think of that?
All right. Well, check it out. After I took them out, that thing popped out. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the flap. That now looks like, so it's going to think that the ice tray is empty. So now you should be good to go.
Oh, cool. I hear something happening. It looks like a motor. Oh, and look, check this out. It looks like there's a light on. I think it's working.
So glad I could help. And please fill out the survey when it comes and give me 5 stars if you wouldn't mind.
You got it.
So while Scott's walking back, that was.
Again, just think about the customer experience.
Yeah.
Like take the technology piece out of it.
Yeah.
Just, I could probably rattle off a few examples where this would have been really helpful, but again, the customer experience piece of this is just really.
Yeah. I love technology, but this makes it feel like we're talking human to human. It's a personal interaction with someone, and just to be open, like we've kind of forced ourselves to be in a lot of cases because of the health crisis and COVID and all this kind of stuff this year. But adopting these video tools can make it more relatable. Make it, we're not just text on the other side of a screen. We're actually, a person, and to just kind of relate to somebody that's just trying to help. I mean, from a customer service standpoint, I think we've got the metrics of when they called in, like to your point, when they entered in their phone number, when we responded, how long that was, how long was the actual service call that took place. First time resolution is a big number that a lot of call centers and a lot of customer service, it could be just as simple rather than back and forth with email or dispatching a ticket or dispatching a truck just for a simple repair like this. There's just so many maybe tangible and untangible ways to realize how powerful something like this could be. So
yeah. And one more point, they are talking about this from an enterprise perspective, which is very relatable. But I can't help but think about some of the smaller companies where it is a heater and cooling, heating and cooling company, or a small repair shop. Being able to give your customers that type of experience, it just makes you feel a little bit bigger than, a 5-person company, or hell, even a 2-person company.
Yep, absolutely. Let's keep going and see where they take this.
There's a rich real-time communication experience to an everyday scenario that really benefits from having that two-way video communication.
Right. And if you wanted to add all of this to an existing website, it might require you needing to know a thing or two about SMS message handling and video call integration, among other things. But with Azure Communications Services, it's pretty turnkey.
Okay, but the devil's in the details. So why don't you show everyone how you built it?
So let's start at the beginning. The first things I'll need to do are to create an Azure Communications Services resource, get a phone number, and a connection string. So here from the Azure portal, I'll search for communication. Now, as I type, you'll see Azure Communication Services. I'll select it and I can create a new resource, but in my case, I'll click View. Now, I've already created and provisioned an Azure Communication Service resource with a name. It's just like provisioning any other Azure resource. I'll click into Contoso Ignite, and we can see all the different capabilities here on the left. In our case, we need to be able to send SMS messages like we just saw. So I need to have a phone number. So I'll select phone numbers, and this shows me the phone number that I got earlier. I can see that it's a US toll-free number, and we'll be using this later in our code. But before I do that, I'm going to click on the Keys tab over here and take the connection string from the primary key. We will use this next in our actual code to authorize the API calls in the Communication Services SDK.
Okay, so with the config done, can we see then what's behind the app?
Sure. Let's look at the underlying code in Visual Studio Code. Now, there are 3 things that we need to do. First, send an SMS message from my web service. Second, create a user access token for the group call. And finally, connect my web clients to a group video chat. So here's the code for my ASP.NET website. It's an ASP.NET Core Web API site. And I've also added the Azure Communication Services SDK in my project file that you can see here. Next, I'll use the connection string we just copied.
So I'm going to pause here because they do get even for a Microsoft Mechanics a little bit down into the details of the programming. But in my mind, I think the important thing to draw out of here is we're not inventing a new programming language. They're adding tools and services in existing widely adopted sets of programming languages that you can integrate into your existing website. You don't have to retool your whole website. You don't have to retool your whole backend programming infrastructure. Just these simple little lines of code for those that understand code and do that. It's just literally modular and plug and play into what you already have. But the outcome is you end up building all of this in one platform, gathering all of the data, putting all your governance and controls around security, your metrics around everything that we talked about that rich customer experience, whatever you want to or need to track for your business, whatever is important to you. It's no longer the case of, I've got my infrastructure out here and it's got to talk to this third party out here for text messaging, or maybe this phone system. I'm sure there are absolutely going to be cases where this isn't applicable for businesses, but in the big picture of things, I think it's really just going to be a game changer for a lot of organizations that want to rapidly adopt and be nimble and are already focused on Microsoft type of solutions. Curious, Tim, to get some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, on one of the slides that they showed, or actually I would say the portal, something caught my eye. There was a section there where you can essentially get a phone number. Because we deal with global UC deployments all the time, porting is a big part of that project. So, part of the things that we used to say about Microsoft Teams, at least up to this point, was, how comfortable are we with Microsoft handling the porting of our numbers or getting new numbers for us? So, I'm curious to see what this will do over the next 3 to 6 months as far as porting. If that experience, that piece of this will be enhanced. But that did catch my eye.
Folks that are watching that might have a little bit higher security bar than unauthenticated connections, what options do we have to secure that link?
There are a few things that we can do here. Instead of leaving this experience unauthenticated, we can require authentication with your chosen identity provider like Azure Active Directory. Additionally, you can require two-factor authentication using SMS, using that same SMS client we sent before to validate the phone number of the customer trying to connect to the call.
Great. So we can implement then the security measures that suit our needs. But back to our code, now we just need to include our two-way video stream into the customer care web.
Yeah. Again, so we're cutting down on spammers. We're integrating our own security platform into there. All the pieces are right there.
Web client that we saw.
Right. So first off, our web client will need an authentication token from my web service. Now I have some simple HTML set up to display the video. From my JavaScript code, I'm going to call into the web service and get the authentication token, then use it to create a call client. Once I've created that call client, I can create some call parameters, like which camera I want to use, the ID of my group, and use those to join a group call. When the call is joined, I'll set up a couple of event handlers. One when participants join and one when the video streams are added. In the video stream handler, I'll render the new video stream into the HTML element I had before. And finally, I'll hook up the local camera to the preview HTML element so I can render it on top of the incoming call. Now, when the call is finished, I'll call hang up on the call object.
Okay, now beyond this, you can extend this app even further, right?
Absolutely. That was just basic SMS and video chat. But of course, from here, you can do much more. You can add features like muting, switching cameras, screen sharing, and handling up to 50 participants in that group call.
And to take that kind of to the next level, I guess we could probably use some of the services within Azure to extend that even further.
This gets really, really interesting.
Yeah, and that's an area we're really excited about. You know, as you build these communication-rich experiences, our cloud integration model makes it easier than ever to extend them further. And we are making an SDK available for the preview so you can connect with Azure services like Azure Cognitive Services to add AI-driven capabilities like live transcriptions, or Azure Bot Framework for intelligent and interactive chatbot experiences like you saw in the demo. Azure Media Services, where you can do things like take a meeting recording and broadcast it beyond your company walls. And of course, you can tap into the power and capabilities of Microsoft 365 by using Microsoft Graph.
Okay, so the sky's the limit then with these types of apps. But one more question I think a lot of people are wondering is, how does Azure Communications Services then integrate with Microsoft Teams?
Well, that's something we're going to light up soon in the public preview.
This
imagine the same scenario.
It's going to be fascinating to
the
see.
The customer would be on a lightweight mobile experience that was custom built for Contoso appliances. And the technician could be on that same familiar Teams experience they use every day to join that same call.
And this is really exciting and so important right now, especially we're delivering these types of responsive and high-touch communication experiences can help people feel a lot more connected through video. But what's the best way to learn more?
Well, Jeremy, I'm a firm believer that the best way to learn is to try. And so you can start kicking the tires right now. The public preview of the Azure Communications Services SDK is available today at aka.ms/ACS preview. And for extra inspiration, you'll find tons of quick starts and samples to get you started.
So thank you, Scott, for the great overview of Azure Communication Services. We really hope that we answered all of your questions, and let us know what you think. Also, keep watching Microsoft Mechanics for the latest tech updates. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.
I think just in wrapping, like this is great that it's in preview. It gets our wheels turning about what's possible and what's next. But I don't think we want to lose sight on how complex some of these and how many different moving parts are in there. You can absolutely rapidly develop a lot of these applications and get this out to user bases, but integrating phone systems, picking the right calling plans has a big influence. All this. Tim, what are some of your thoughts on maybe how to work with clients to kind of step through the process and understand how to roll this, how to integrate this?
Yeah, like you said, this is really fascinating stuff, it gives everybody something to look forward to. You know, one of the first questions that we always ask our clients, or when clients come to us and say, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing, we have to really have an understanding of what the long-term vision is.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of organizations, they have treated these in different buckets. You know, this is the phone system bucket, or, you know, taking your on-premise PBX to the cloud, or integrating with Teams. You know, the customer experience of the contact center piece was always something different. With this, you know, this has the potential to wrap in a whole bunch of different things under one umbrella. So, you talk about the visibility, you talk about the management of it, I mean, you're talking about AI and just again, I have to go back to that word customer experience in those examples that they showed earlier. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's such a big umbrella. There's so many pieces, and I feel like it's a good way to wrap up our conversation today. Is just we're no longer going to be siloed into all these individual technology categories of I do infrastructure, I do uh, customer service, or manage the contact center. Uh, I think Microsoft really picked the right name for their collaboration when they said teams, because that is, in my opinion, that's really the future of how we're going to work together, is by saying I did manage the voice systems and I understand that, but help me understand, how does that integrate in with where the infrastructure is going, and how does that get used throughout the business? And the more as we work together as a team and understand what are we trying to achieve, what are we trying to go for, tools in a platform like this is going to make it a really powerful and really a great experience for customers. I really kind of second your call to action there, is just like, let's talk about the customer experience of it all. The technology is great, we can do this, but this really should get our mind going into what does it look like for the customers that we're really trying to serve. So
yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's in preview now. It's going to be in preview for a couple months. I know I'm going to be watching this. I know all the rest of our team is going to be watching as this develops. So I could see this just being one of many more videos on the subject as we learn more. So be happy to answer questions, comments, and all the different social media feedback that we get. And thanks for the time today, Tim. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. See
All
ya.
right. Take care, everyone.